Hello everyone, welcome to another yet belated episode of Music of the Week. I don't really have a lot of preamble to go through this one. I have about 6 albums to go through for this one, so I say I go through them as quickly as I can. We start with Three Teeth and their newest album, Index. Now, I caught their last album back in 2019, and this is actually their first one in about 4 years. I don't know if they released any EPs or other stuff in the time between, and I don't care, but it stands to reason that they were taking a bit of time off due to the whole, pandemic thing. I'm giving this one a B plus though. I do think it's a solid bit of industrial metal, but I think the album's best parts don't even come from Three Teeth as a band. The album's best bits come from not my hair. Good cue though. They come from Mick Gordon, obviously best known as the composer of the modern day Doom soundtracks. Mick Gordon helped to produce this album, and I would argue he's probably one of the better things about it. He's not even a member of the band. He was just there to help because he's fucking cool. And yeah, the band themselves do have some good penchant for a decent industrial metal riff here and there, Lyrics about bleak dystopian topics, I just said lyrics. Production's really good when Mick's doing it. The performances are all good, but Mick is probably the standout. He's on like half the songs on the album. And the album does do something I don't like, though, which is, I think, the same thing it did on the last album, which is it ends with a cover of a song. Although this one ends with the cover of Everybody Wants to Rule the World, which is much more preferable to Pumped Up Kicks. I'll just say that much. I thought performance-wise it was decent, riff-wise it was good. Structure-wise, again, not really a whole lot new for the genre, but, it's pretty good for what it is. It has gotten, a fair share of critical acclaim, and I did quite like it, but again, the best parts about the album, this Three Teeth album, aren't even anything to do with Three Teeth. I think they're a good industrial band, I just think Mick Gordon is better. I don't know, I feel like he overtook a bit of this album, but I mean that in the best way, so listen to it mostly for him. Like, he's probably the best thing about this entire album. I can't really think of anything stand out from the band themselves, but it gets a B plus just because of Mick's work, really. Next, we have a band called 68. Yes, two bands whose names start with numbers. I went in numerical order, and their fourth album, I believe it is, titled Yes and. God, that phrase has been circling around quite a bit, and I don't know how annoying it is, but I'm giving this a B minus. I know a little bit about 68, mostly because long time ago, there's a band called The Chariot, and their lead singer was a guy named Josh Scogin. Really good singer in like that world of metalcore. One of the most like versatile vocalists in like that more sludgy mathcore style of metalcore, with bands obviously like The Chariot and Norma Jean and stuff. And also one of the weirdest dudes. Like The Chariot were notably a weird band, although I've never listened to one of their albums. And this is also a fairly weird album. It does kind of focus on a concept. It does the same titling thing that one of the Chariot's albums did, which is like each one forms like a different part of a sentence, and there's 10 songs in total. And I couldn't tell you a damn thing about what the lyrics are, really, but the instrumentation is very eclectic and strange, and it does actually try to match a lot of the stories that are attempted to be told. I think Josh is a good vocalist and guitarist. The drummer, I think his name is Nico Yamada. He does a really good job on the drums. The production's alright. It's probably one of the weaker parts of the album. It can feel a bit unclear and a little bit too fuzzy at points. And the structuring is also, it does take a while to get used to. It's not the easiest album to slip into. To be honest, it is sort of more of a rocky venture from Scogin, I think. It's more of a noise rock thing, and one of the weirdest bits of noise rock I've heard probably all year compared to how great noise rock has been. This has probably been one of the weirder ones, but it's got some really good moments to it, and it's definitely a unique experience, even if it won't fully settle in at first. But I still recommend giving it a go just for how odd it is, and if you just want to see Josh Scogin, hear Josh Scogin having a bit of fun, this album is a bit of noise rock fun. Next we have Blackstone Cherry and their newest album, Screaming at the Sky. Blackstone Cherry are a band I'm familiar with. In fact, they're the only band in this episode that I've ever done a backtracking episode for. And this gets the highest grade of the episode. It gets an A. I really fucking liked it. I think Blackstone Cherry are one of the best southern rock bands in the modern era. This one did take a few listens, but hey, it gave me an excuse to listen to Blackstone Cherry more, and more importantly, a new Blackstone Cherry album. They've been on a low-key tier lately, and I don't think people have been paying enough attention, but it's everything you love about Blackstone Cherry elevated from a production standpoint as well. It sounds cleaner and more organic than some of their other stuff, a lot more nicely textured too. Performance-wise, really not a bad day at the office. It's their first one with a new bassist whose name I don't remember, but it will appear in text form. Although lead singer and lead guitarist Chris Robertson is definitely where it's at. He just fucking he's just got that thing about it. He's got that authenticity. He's got that power in his voice, and he's a really great guitar player too. Lyrically wise, it does cover their familiar topics about mental health and depression and love and relationships and some political stuff. But you know, they keep mostly it's one of the more positive post-pandemic related albums in terms of its themes, and I'm so glad that a band who have had a bit of a dark run on lyrically on their past couple of albums just decided to put a big smile on my face. It's a very positive, like, defiant one in terms of that. Obviously, riff work is great too. Like, you don't need me to tell you the Black Stone Cherry's guitar work and bass work and drum work, and even keyboard and piano bits are just fucking brilliant. I love their more simplified version of Southern Rock on this one, but it's just great. It's just really great stuff. Performance is going over, production is going over. Structurally wise, not really any misses from that standpoint either. Really good builds. Maybe the formula is a bit familiar in some places, but you know, it fucking works for Black Stone Cherry, and yeah, it's just another really good Black Stone Cherry album. That's really all you need if you like the band. Go give this one a spin. It's really good. Next we have a newer band, Blackbriar, with their second album, O Dark Euphony. This is also a band who I've heard all the full-length albums from because I listened to their debut back in 2021, and I quite like that one. I think I gave that one a B. I'm also giving this one a B. I think it's because, and I think I said this when I covered the last one, but I got so desensitized during season 5 of Backtracking by accidentally walking into so many, like, gothic-leaning symphonic metal bands, specifically female-fronted ones. But one thing I like about Blackbriar is their more heavy focus on, like, conceptualized storytelling. They utilize a lot of, like, folklore and supernatural and fairy tale elements into the lyricism, and it really works. It makes for some really wonderful reading, but, you know, the sound is about the same. It doesn't really get out of its main gear, but it doesn't really need to. You know, the riff work is pretty decent. I just wish it were a bit heavier and there were more solos and a bit more urgency, but I will take what I can get. I think the vocalist, Zora Koch, who's got very unfortunate surname that, I think she's a fucking incredible vocalist. This is their first one also with a new bassist, again, whose name I will put in the in text form. That's weird. We've had two albums in a row now where bands have had a new bassist. I think they both joined in like 2021 as well, like for both Black Stone Cherry and Blackbriar. It's very, very weird. Yeah, production wise, it's clean as you like, you know. Structurally wise, again, doesn't do a whole lot different with the genre, but it's a good bit of gothic-y symphonic metal stuff. And yeah, just really good Blackbriar. They are a band that, again, does need to improve in a few areas, especially in a genre that's very oversaturated. But they do have the chance to be a unique voice with their storytelling and with how good Zora's vocals are. I think she might need a bit more confidence, but she's still a great singer. Yeah, no, really good stuff from Blackbriar again. I am looking forward to the next one. Next we have a bit of a weird one, probably the most divisive album I've covered in this video. Code Orange with their new album, The Above. Now I'm quite familiar with Code Orange. I haven't listened to all their albums, but I've listened to everything from Forever till obviously The Above. I listened to Underneath as well. I will admit this is probably my least favourite Code Orange album. I'm giving it an A- though. And the reason it's my least favourite Code Orange album is because it's an album specifically for Code Orange fans. Being a Code Orange fan, I've got no problem with it, but it tries to throw too much at the wall. I think it tries to be a bit too accessible, and it sort of goes against it. Like, it's something that their last album did as well, but they managed to make it work by keeping a really good core formula. They sort of, like, decided to really put themselves and their careers on the line with this one. I don't think it works as well as they were planning it out to. It's got some really good moments. In fact, it's got some great moments to it. The production is probably some of the cleanest that the band has ever had. I like the fact that they decided to go a bit weird with it. The lyrics are sort of the same stuff, you know, typically bleak topics. I couldn't really find much on themes, even though it was easy to find to read. Performance is really good, though. Jamie Morgan has stepped up considerably as a vocalist. He clean sings a bit as well. Ruby Myers is a really good singer as well, and I'm glad she got to exercise that a bit more on this album. Guitar's still great. Eric Balderose is still a really good programmer and keyboarder and produce guy. In fact, this was the first album that the band themselves had produced entirely. They did have it engineered by someone else, but like the main production parts were handled by Jamie Morgan and Eric Balderose. I think it's a really great album, though. It's a good addition to Code Orange's catalogue with like some really furious fucking riffs. I love the instrumentation in a lot of the areas. I do like the performances, the production is great. I think the structurally wise, again, it takes a bit for things to stick to the wall, but when they do, they slide down really nicely. There's a weird analysis of it. But again, it's an album specifically for Code Orange fans, so if you're not like ready for an album that mixes, you know, hardcore punk, nu metal, industrial, alternative rock, and post-grunge, and a lot of other 90s trends into this modernized age, maybe don't listen to this one. It can feel like it's trying to do a bit too much, and for an album that's over 51 minutes long, it can feel a bit too much. So I would actually warn you against this, but if you are a Code Orange fan, specifically a Code Orange fan, I'd recommend this. It's really good. And finally, we have Red with their newest album, Rated R. Now, I've listened to every Red album since Until We Have Faces, and it's been a weird, like, up and down thing, because Until We Have Faces was good. Release the Panic was bad. Our Beauty and Rage was good. Gone was bloody boring. Luckily, Declaration was a really good return to form, and then Rated R is a C+. It is probably somehow blander than Gone, which is weird because it feels a bit more urgent than Gone does, but it doesn't feel as unique. It does kind of lack some of the symphonic punch that of Beauty and Rage and Declaration had, and again, the band have to realise that when they work in the symphonic elements and the heavy guitar riffs, that's when they sound at their best. I don't know why they keep changing their formula up when it fucking works for them, but it just feels so average, you know? I mean, it's only 33 minutes long, 33 minutes like 50 seconds. It doesn't do a lot with its time, it doesn't shift out of its gear. It has the same problem that Blackbriar's album had, but at least Blackbriar had an interesting core thing to it. Red don't really have an interesting core thing on this one. Like, the riffs feel very bare bones and a little bit basic. The production is clean, which I guess is fine, but there's not really much else done with it. Performances are alright. Michael Barnes is still a really good singer. I want him to scream much more than he does, though, and Randy Armstrong is a good screamer too when he wants to be. Again, this is another one as well that was entirely produced by the band, I think. It was produced by their lead guitarist, Anthony Armstrong, and it feels so... Again, it feels so cookie-cutter in a lot of its areas. Even writing-wise, it's not too outside of their ordinary sort of platitude stuff. I get it, they're a Christian rock band, but they could be doing so much more with it, and I don't know. This is probably one of the reasons why people say Christian rock is boring. It's not, you know, it's not the most boring album, but it's probably one of the most blandly put together Christian rock albums I've heard, and that is saying something considering Skillet's last run of like albums, Jesus hell. Yeah, I mean, my least recommended one, but if you're a Red fan, maybe you'll like it. I don't know. Structurally wise, production wise, instrumentally wise, lyrically wise, performance wise, it doesn't really do a lot. So maybe give it a go if you're into that. That's all I got out of this one, just a big fat eh. And that'll about do it for this heavily delayed episode of Music of the Week. The ranking system would go Red with Rated R, 68 with Yes and, Blackbriar with The Dark Euphony, Three Teeth with Endex, Code Orange with The Above, and Blackstone Tray with Screaming at the Sky. But as always, you should go and listen to all of these at least once and formulate your own opinions, because that's what makes this shit kind of interesting, you all. As for what's next from me, tomorrow night, nothing planned. I've got to... do the results of the Harsh Environment pay-per-view, but if you've seen it on YouTube, because it's been on YouTube for a couple of days now, you probably know what the results are. But hopefully tomorrow night, if I can finally fucking swing it, I might start the Battleblock Let's Play with Fen, who knows. Next thing I can really guarantee, well, not even that, might be another Fight of the Night review, because it's actually a card this weekend, because there wasn't one last weekend, so that's why I didn't do one, because it's kind of hard to do Fight of the Night card if there's no Fight of the Night for a UFC card if there's no UFC card. So yeah, but that'll about do it. I'll see you all maybe tomorrow for a reaction, probably, because I didn't do any last week. Weird that. But I'll see you all for whatever the fuck I wind up doing next. As always, thank you for watching. You're awesome. Bye bye.